Captured. 5 minutes. Ikora would be proud of you, Warlock. Triple down. Zone A captured.
Hello everyone, I'm CoolGuy, welcome back, and today I'm very excited to cover the Warlock chest piece, Chromatic Fire. This is a pretty special one, I love this thing. Its exotic perk is Crystalline Transistor. Precision kills with your kinetic weapon create an explosion in the element of your equipped subclass. So basically Firefly. Now the perks, they're going to be RNG, I got Auto Rifle, SMG, Scout Unflinching, something like that. No enhanced perks. Hopefully one day they will allow these perks to be re-rolled on exotics, but until then we're stuck with what we have. Chromatic Fire is something that really makes you better. It makes you an ad clearing machine, which that in turn makes you an asset to your fire team. Before we go any further, let's take a look at that Firefly. It is enhanced, it is special, and I know this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I see what it does, and I'll show that to you throughout the review, but the main thing is I've been using it exclusively in PvP. I've had over 76,000 crucible kills in the game so far. Now in that time frame of 76,000 kills since day 1 Destiny 2, I've had maybe 2 Dragonfly collateral kills. I can distinctly remember one of them, but I'm going to say 2. In a day of using this exotic, I had well over 20 of them. Now in the background footage, you're going to see a lot of one-off clips. What to pay attention to is in the kill feed, the collaterals that happen. So back to it, with what makes it special. With whatever weapon that you're using, it appears to give you 2 explosions. One for the headshot initially, and the second one right after, and those 2 are going to be the element that is your subclass. This makes it a lot better than what you would initially think, and the area of effect is a lot bigger than you think. And to add to that, it also works slightly differently in PvP and PvE. We'll talk about that later on in the review. To kind of see what it is, we have 3 explosions right here that we're going to go over. We have Dragonfly, the Ace of Spades Firefly, and then the Chromatic Fire Explosion. There are some others that have this type of effect. We have Grab Lance, Sunshot, but those are both energy weapons and both work slightly differently. And if we rank these as far as of effect, we have Dragonfly at 3, Ace of Spades Firefly at 2, and then the Chromatic Fire leading the pack at 1. Dragonfly is just around the enemy, Firefly expands that just a little bit, and then the Chromatic Fire is slightly bigger than both of those, and has that second detonation. The best part is that it does stack with Ace of Spades. This combination now has 3 explosions, and how that works, it's going to explode solar for the initial Ace of Spades Firefly, and then 2 more times with the element that you're using. When running it with Ace of Spades, I call it the firework combo, because that's what it looks like. It looks like fireworks. Ace of Spades is actually my top pick for this exotic, and when you look at Ace of Spades, you think, well, Ace already has Firefly, this gives Firefly, and you kind of discard it, but with it, it has 3 explosions. Now, all of this would be different if they all happen at once, but they don't. It's a back-to-back-to-back type of thing, and if the enemy is moving, it carries the explosions. And this is where it slightly is different in PvP. We talked about it earlier. In PvP, there is a delay between those explosions. This is a good thing. That delay is way more noticeable in PvP. So let's take a second, we'll stop the music, look at the raw gameplay, watch the visual, and listen to the audio cues.
Down. 2 for 1. You're getting stronger as you fight. I love it.
Even go back and rewatch a couple times. That's important to know going forward. PvE does have this delay sometimes, but not nearly as exaggerated as it is in the Crucible, and that explosion carries. Like right here, I get the headshot on my enemy. At the very top of his jump, he explodes. This is from the Firefly Ace of Spades at the top, but the momentum of his body carries right into the other player, resulting in a collateral. And all this would be a lot different if it didn't do the damage that it does, but these explosions do massive damage, guys. Each explosion can do well over 100 in PvP. It's enough to get kills, and it happens a lot more than you think. I've seen it do different things, like right here it does 103, 104, and in this particular clip I also have the benefit of Firefly, which is because of Ace of Spades, which adds in 65. So 272 damage just by explosions in this area. It's unreal. So think about choke points, enemies that are trying to cap a flag. It comes into play. Just in raw gameplay, I've also had it explode right next to a barrier, and this might be more of a true number. The Ace of Spades does 47 to the body, it does 47 to the shield. This guy's right on top of it, so there's a relationship there. It did 75 for the Firefly, then 120, 120, so 315 damage to the shield. It does a lot of damage. And as far as distance, look at how far away this player is. As soon as I saw this, I knew I could reach out and touch someone when I'm using this. He's backing up against the wall, and it still hits him. It's unreal. One way I judge exotics is how much use you get out of them. Is it all the time? Sometimes. Is it rare occasions? When it does work, how much benefit do you get out of it? Something like, let's say, Celestial Nighthawk. It takes the entire time to get your super. You get one shot, but that one shot has a lot of value in it. Then you have something like the Wings of Sacred Dawn for the Warlock. Now it has a place, you can use it a lot, but not so much game-changing use, if that makes sense. It's an all the time, but only with select loadouts, and there are loadouts where you can make it shine. But this exotic, Chromatic Fire, is used constantly wherever you are. Every final headshot that you land, you are benefiting from this exotic. And arguably, Fatebringer is one of the best weapons in Destiny's history. It's the combination of Outlaw, Firefly, explosive rounds if you chose so. It was hard hitting, had the fast reload, crowd control. It's a perfect weapon. This allows you to make any kinetic weapon like that, really, depending on your perk set, and that is overall the standout positive to know about Chromatic Fire in this review. It elevates every kinetic weapon in the game, especially dragonfly weapons. You wouldn't think that, but it does the most damage, has the best effect. And any weapon that has Outlaw becomes an instant powerhouse. And remember, this is an added perk on top of what your weapon already has. This exotic is very straightforward, very simple in what it does, and it does it very, very well. In PvE, we haven't had this much type of crowd control aside from Grav Lance and Sunshot. You can also play to modifiers, say it's Void, but you choose an Arc subclass. That way, the Arc Explosions can take out Arc Shields in your Nightfall or your Strike. So for the review, let's talk about some weapons that really benefit, and there are a ton of them. I'm going to name a lot of them, and some won't really have background gameplay. There's just so many. I'm also going to miss a couple weapons, but I do want to be clear again, all kinetic weapons benefit from this exotic, but some of them start really becoming elite for what they are and what they do. My number one recommendation is going to be Ace of Spades. It's the most potent, it has the most potential, and it's my go-to in all activities in PvE and in the Crucible. The area of effect that you get is unmatched when it comes to these Firefly explosions. You have the fast reloads on headshots, you have kill clip after that reload. It's complete, an ad clearing, get out of my way type of hand cannon. Outlaw, Firefly, kill clip, Firefly, Firefly again. It's elite. Now, on to some other ones, starting off in no particular order, we have the Transfiguration Curated Role. This is the high-impact scout from the raid. The Curated Role is Outlaw Explosive Payload. This turns it into a high-impact scout Fatebringer. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I use a lot of weapons in the game, but this one I didn't really like until I got the Chromatic Fire to pair it with. This is how much it elevates it and why I chose to showcase it. There's also a random role for Transfiguration. It can have Rampage and Kill Clip. Imagine this role with Chromatic Fire. Number 2, Crimson. This has everything you need: high damage, a clip that gets refilled on headshots, and those headshots are now the double Firefly headshots. On top of that, you have health regeneration. It's perfect for Chromatic Fire, ad clearing, survival beast, as it's always been. Now, I do love it with Crimson a lot. It's probably the most complete usage of this chess piece when you take into account those things: the refilled mag, crowd control, health regen. It's my second spot right behind Ace of Spades, if I'm being completely honest. There isn't a bad thing to really say about it. Major potential. Number 3, Huckleberry. With how the perks work now, you now have headshots that create an explosion. You get Rampage ×3, all with a seemingly infinite magazine. The Huckleberry isn't really used that much. It's kind of been forgotten to some players. Now, if you do have Chromatic Fire, don't sleep on Huckleberry. It's another perfect fit for this exotic. Elite crowd control, and PC players can laser it, so that makes it even better. Number 4, Chaperone. This is my guilty pleasure. There's something about going into an enemy area in PvP, taking a quick shot and watching surrounding enemies take damage or even get killed by those explosions. This also, again, elevates it in PvE. The Chaperone in PvE isn't really something that has its best use in that area of the game, but with some crowd control capabilities, it does a lot better. PvP, though, is where it's really fun to use. Chaperone's been my go-to kinetic since it came out, and Chromatic Fire makes it even better. I played my first game with it the other day, pairing it with this exotic chess piece. I had 51 opponents defeated, and we ran out of medals. Number 5, the Midnight Coup, already one of the best PvE weapons in the game now with the Trinity, Outlaw, Rampage, Firefly, nothing really else to say. It's a beast, easy pick to pair it with. Number 6 is going to be Malfeasance. I think it's another top tier pick. Going off the review I had not too long ago, you can't deny its high stability, its high magazine. You now have Firefly to pair with its perk. It does both of them now. Firefly Explosion with the Malfeasance perk does good damage. It just works, a very good pairing. It's supposed to be a really good gambit weapon, and it gives you some added crowd control for ads. Great damage versus the invaders as well now. Bonus damage to taken blockers. It's not just for Gambit though. It does very well in all PvE activities. There are many, many more. The more weapons I use it with, the more intrigued I am to try it out with another. I love this thing. It's good with Mida, really good with Vigilance Wing, Jade Rabbit, any auto, especially Suros, any bow. I've had a lot of fun with Wish Ender. All of this is a very lethal way to play Destiny, and there's going to be some people who disagree with me, and that's alright, but I do feel that it does have a place in PvP. It's based off what I said earlier. It's more of a use at your own risk type of deal. We're going to be real here for a second. The Ophidian Aspects, Karnstein's Controverse Hold, Crowned Tempest, they're all great options. With Chromatic Fire, it's situational, yes, but players grouping up happens a lot more than you think. It has happened enough for me to make the statement. It can be used and do well in PvP. I've had a lot of collateral since I got this exotic, and those collaterals happened without a doubt because this exotic is on. If not, I get a lot of splash damage with it, and which is something I haven't really shown. It has had a crazy amount of collaterals, but when the collaterals don't really happen, another enemy can take the 100+ damage, making them very weak for a cleanup. I now live for grouped up enemies on choke points and power positions. After I got some of its damage numbers, I saw how potent it is, and I was sold. I knew what I had to do, I knew what situations I should be looking for, but depending on the player, this does revolve around your primary weapon in the Crucible. If you aren't getting that many per game, if you aren't searching for the scenarios, then no, it is not a good pick for you. The Ophidians, the Karnsteins are going to have more value. In the Crucible, you can view this a number of ways, and that's how you should kind of handle it. For some players, it's not an option. They won't or don't find any benefit in it. For some players, they have the mindset that it's a fun thing to do. I mean, who doesn't like explosions? Now, for some players, they can use it for PvP crowd control because it can do that. Now, I do use it for both of those ways, for the crowd control, and it's really fun to use. I've seen the distance it can kill. I've had a lot of collaterals, double collaterals, splash damage from one to the next, and in PvP, what really helps is that slight delay in those explosions. In conclusion, I believe it's top tier. I mean, firefly kills are just satisfying. There's nothing like it. Now, when it comes to legendaries, some of the outcomes are really going to depend on the random rolls that you have on them, not to mention throwing on a sidearm with it, an SMG. It's an every engagement type of exotic. I find value in that. Paired with firefly / dragonfly weapon, it brings out its true potential. The beautiful part are those uses I talked about. You can simply use it for the fun factor alone. It's fun to use. On the other hand, it does a really good job at what it does, which makes it viable. Now in PvE, there's nothing like deleting a group of thrall that are rushing you when you're one shot. In PvP, it's been working for me, and in the foreseeable future, I'm going to continue using it. In all aspects, Ace of Spades is the top tier option. In PvE, it's self-explanatory. In PvP, I've had way more collateral kills using Ace than any other weapon, and that's because of the Firefly. Having that extra 60-75 damage on standby to pair with those other two that do 100+ really makes the difference. And that isn't to say you don't get collaterals with other weapons, because you can. Chromatic Fire is a very simple exotic, but extremely potent. If you are new to the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button. We have a pretty cool group down here in the comment section. If you are subscribed, thank you very much. We just hit 60,000. That means a lot to me. Again, thank you so much. Let's continue the journey. I would like to know your thoughts on Chromatic Fire. Are there any changes that you would make, and what weapons do you think have the most potential to pair it with? Thank you guys for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.
Double down.